Hello and welcome back to the Connected Everything podcast. I'm Oliver Fisher, Research Fellow and Knowledge Exchange Lead here at Connected Everything. And today's podcast follows on from our latest podcast on writing a successful feasibility study application to look instead at how to be successful once you reach the panel pitch. Today, I'm once again joined by Debra Fearnshaw, who is our skilled network manager here at Connected Everything, who can hopefully shed some light on what to expect during the panel pitch day. Also joining us is Susan Reiblein. Susan has worked at the forefront of digital transformation in media, manufacturing and aerospace. Susan is also part of the Connected Everything executive group here, helping us to ensure the network's activities have industrial relevance and often acts as a panel member for Connected Everything's review and pitches. So good morning to you both and welcome to the Connected Everything podcast.
Morning,
Hello.
Ollie.
Hi.
So I think if we start with you, Debra, and I wondered if you can give us a kind of an outline of what to expect on the day.
That's a really good kick-off question. So obviously, applicants who have applied for a feasibility study are informed usually within 4 weeks of whether they've been successful or not to get to their panel pitch stage, which is the second stage. So their proposal would have already had 2 independent reviewers look at it. Those reviewers would have given an indication as to whether they thought that the proposal should proceed to panel pitch. And then if that has been given the recommendation and then that agreed by a small committee, then I will be writing to those people to let them to invite them to a panel pitch. And the full details of that will be given. In terms of the structure of the panel pitch, obviously given the ongoing pandemic, then the panel pitch itself will be an online process, which is obviously necessary given the circumstances. So they will be given about a 25-minute appointment to come to the panel pitch, and part of that time will be them delivering a quite strict 5-minute pitch about their proposal and about their work. And then the rest of the time is questions from the panel itself, which usually consists of about 6 or 7 people, and then obviously questions from the proposing team themselves back to the panel. So it is quite a tough ask to deliver your proposal in a 5-minute pitch. But we really feel that this really helps people think about some of their key points and hopefully deliver their research in a really interesting way.
Thanks for that, Deborah. I guess it is all over quite quickly, that 25 minutes you've got for the day. I was wondering, have you got any tips to kind of ensure that 25 minutes runs smoothly regarding like kind of connection issues or getting there early?
Oh, that's a good idea. So their time slot will be given. It will be a very precise time slot that they're given in their diaries for them to accept. One of the things that often I only get the contact information of the PI. So one of the things is also when people get that invite is to make sure that they share that with their other team members. So we say that up to 3 people can come along to the panel pitch. So make sure that you've got those, that you've got your team identified, those 3 people identified to come to the panel pitch. We do have, I do use a stopwatch to actually time the 5 minutes. To make sure that everyone is treated very, very fairly. So I will be giving kind of, a warning when that 5 minutes is up and ask people to wrap it up as soon as the 5-minute warning has been given.
That's really useful to know. And to know it's very kind of strict on timings. I guess from Susan, from kind of like as a panel member, your experience of the day is quite different. And I wonder, is there anything you enjoy or look forward to about reviewing these proposals and sitting on a panel?
For me, I regard the 2 parts, the actual looking at the written proposal and the presentation, as 2 separate entities. When I'm looking at the written proposal, I've got my logical, hard-nosed hat on. And I'm looking for rigor, intellectual rigor. I'm looking for the science. Does it make sense? Is it worthy of being funded in the approach that they've got? So I'm looking for very much a logical approach, a structured approach. I want to get a feeling that they know what they're doing. You get a whole range of subjects coming on your desk. So you're looking at what can you contribute to understanding this. And you have to do your homework as well to make sure that it does make sense from a science perspective. But the presentations are, for me, I'm looking for something completely different. I'm looking for enthusiasm. I'm looking for camaraderie within the team. I want a story. I really do want a story from the presentation. I don't to know a start. How did the idea? How was it conceived? How did it develop? The approach that they've chosen. Why? It's all of those sorts of things. But I actually want the story. It's not just facts, because it comes like, you know, the health minister who's delivering COVID slides. You're just bombarded with facts and you can't process it. There has to be a story behind that. And if it goes well, you feel, oh, that's really good. As a panel member, you get involved. You really get involved in the process that they've been through if you've got that story.
Yes, I guess it's all about kind of connecting with between the panel members and the potential pitchers. Like you say, you've kind of almost moved on from the kind of scientific rigor to get to that stage. It's all, have you got the passion to deliver this project?
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because the panel members, because we have a discussion afterwards, obviously, the panel members are all coming from different perspectives and different lenses, and we see different things from different people, and we've all got our own views on life. It is very rare when there is a real conflict, because we're all looking for that passion.
That's really interesting too. Not ever been part of one of these panel days before, or I'd always imagined there might be a bit more, one panel member's got one group they want above another, but yeah, it sounds like once you know it's right, it's quite a unified decision.
It is very rare when there's a split decision. It's usually you've coalesced, and it's because, I said, the different perspectives, they're seeing different things in it, and sometimes they want different things out of it. And you say, I'd like them to have put more into here. We get all of that. But really, no, we tend to get behind and we think, well, we can help that, can't we? You know, when we're actually discussing, if we decide we're going to go ahead, we actually talk about the different members of the panel itself, how they can help develop it on. So it's not just, oh, thank you very much, goodbye. It's not like that at all. It's very much, well, they didn't do that very well, but they could do that, couldn't they? And you actually get to the point where there's panel members you want to sort of plough in and say, okay, let's help them out as well. So it becomes a support.
I think that's really kind of helpful to hear. Once they go away from these days, if they are funded, it's good to know they've got this support around them that will carry on, and it's kind of started almost with the panel day.
I agree, Ollie. I think that's definitely part of it. And I think one of the responsibilities that the panel members and also the reviewers of each of the proposals takes really seriously is actually trying to give really decent quality feedback to everyone who's put the effort in to make an application. Again, regardless of the outcome of either the proposal or the panel pitch, I try and give everyone, a call if they want it to talk through their feedback, because there's areas that they can improve or areas of support that we can offer. We really try and get those messages over, and I think that is a really lovely way of working that the Connected Everything team, as it were, including the reviewers and the people actually who are at the panel pitch, take that responsibility so seriously to make sure that we really are trying to help people, almost regardless of whether the project is actually funded.
And it works, doesn't it? Because I know members who have been previously been unsuccessful, they've taken on that feedback and they've come back again and had funded feasibility studies.
Absolutely, and that's something that we have it's been really lovely to see how that feedback has been taken on board and they've been able to apply it again in another application, and yes, they've gone on to get funding.
I wonder on the other flip side, because obviously it sounds like when a decision's made, it's quite unified, this is the project. Is there anything that particularly irritates you during these pitches that automatically kind of put you off? Maybe a question for you, Susan.
What irritates me is when people haven't done their homework and they haven't really understood the problem. Frequently we get pitches where the benefits are unbelievable. They're trying to solve a whole problem, where in actual fact they're only looking at a subsection of the problem. They claim benefits of the whole problem, that they're solving the whole problem, when in actual fact the benefits are only a tiny wee bit of it, which is not a problem as long as they've realised that and they can explain where they sit in context of a whole. But when people make outrageous claims, it really irritates me. And the other thing that irritates me is where they don't know what the whole problem is.
Yeah.
That's even worse. It's like saying, well, I'll solve the UK economy by making sure that we've got a transport mechanism. They just completely ignore the whole scoping exercise and contextualizing where they fit. That really does irritate me.
I guess it's probably quite an easy trap to get caught in. You give too much importance to your own research projects, believing it can kind of solve all the world's problems, but then lose sight of what is its practical impact.
Yeah, and it's more fundamental than that, because in saying and claiming the benefits for the world, you're actually prohibiting yourself taking the bit that you've solved on to the next stage and say, well, I'll do that bit next or that bit next. So you've actually got, you've got a picture of where you could go forward. So it's like a technology map, but it's a problem solving map. So you're actually missing a trick.
Yeah, I guess that could be a real shame. You've then lost that impact, all the potential impact from that project.
Yeah.
So I wonder, is there kind of like two kind of irritating things that could kind of put reviewers off? I wonder, are there any kind of like more common mistakes that you see in a panel pitch that sounds like there are for you there?
One that upsets me more is where you've got a really good written proposal and they've obviously spent an awful lot of time on doing the presentation, and because they want to put so much in, they just run out of time, and you get about a third of the way into the proposal and you haven't got to the end of it. So how do you judge that?
Yeah, you might lose sometimes a lot of people save all the outcomes or benefits to the end, and you just can't see them, can you? Because you have to judge what's there on the day.
Yeah, that is quite sad. And the other one is where the project has come from researchers. It's an idea from researchers. And then you get they've obviously decided they need some weight to present. So you get a professor who has, by the time he's presenting, it's obvious that he hasn't got anything to do with the project. It's all being done by the researchers that are backing him up. And he does a presentation. And it's obvious, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, let's get the youngsters in, that have done the work, get them talking about it. And I don't know if that's a fear factor of, it's a presentation and they're important people, or what, but really do need to see the people who created the project. We don't want just to wheel in the highest level professor that I can think of, because it just doesn't work.
Do you agree with that point, Susan? And I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to put a panel pitch stage into this assessment process, to really help early career researchers get a little bit of experience of this and enable them that almost, again, regardless of the outcome of the panel pitch, at least they've had some experience of presenting, organising their thoughts in a way which can deliver that against the 5-minute timeline. And yeah, it really is an opportunity for those early career research teams to kind of have a moment to test their skills. So I think you're absolutely right. This isn't, it's really nice to know that there is senior academic in the background that is supportive, but this really is a moment for the early career researchers to have a go, test their skills and get themselves in front of the panel.
Yeah, and when you get a professor who's had nothing to do with the project in, you don't get that passion that we're looking for coming through in the presentation. So it's maybe a smoothie two shoes in doing the presentation in terms of going through the slides, but without the passion, it doesn't work.
Yes, because you said it at the start, the enthusiasm guides everyone's decisions on the day. And I guess you've both kind of answered my next question, which would be who should lead the pitch or who should be there on the panel pitch day. And it sounds like you almost want everyone there, but it should really be the people who are passionate about the project.
Yeah, and because Connected Everything is actually structured in a nurturing way, it's an ideal place to get some experience. I mean, I've done presentations and I've come out as though I've been lacerated, and that is not a pleasant feeling. But we're not like that. What we're there for is to help give advice, whether it's advice that they, that wasn't that really good, or it would be really good, lovely proposal, but you need to hone your presentation skills, and you can actually make that advice, opportunities to present, or even force them to present at one of our events so that they don't have any opportunity to hide behind anybody else. We actually do try to actually develop people. We're a nice environment to cut your teeth.
Definitely. I think one of the things that I really like about the Connected Everything is once people have been awarded the feasibility studies, then they kind of join the Connected Everything network, and they're kind of like a core backbone to the activities that we'll continue to do during the rest of the life of the network. And I think becoming a key integral part to that is something that we hope those people who get the feasibility study funding, really benefit from, and we certainly massively benefit from.
Yeah, there is so much support within the Connected Everything from all the different executive group project members, just network members in general, at all these events we host and put on. Everyone seems to get to know each other quite well over the period.
The other irritation I get is bad project management or no project management. And I think that is one of the learnings, not just for the people there, but for the institutions, is that project management in a innovation mode is different than Prince2 or any of the methodologies. Innovation project management is very different. And I don't think the universities do that very well at all. And sometimes we see a whole proposal, there's no project management mentioned at all.
So that for you, that's a key point to hit during the panel pitch.
Yeah, things just don't happen. They have to be planned, and innovation doesn't always go to plan, but that's part of project management. So you've got to acknowledge that this is my plan. If it doesn't quite work out, that you've got to manage your way out of that, and that's part of project management.
I think that's really useful, especially the kind of, like you said, the way you put it, managing your way out of it. What are your kind of redundancy backup plans?
Yeah.
How are you still going to be able to deliver on this project?
And I think, certainly the projects which have been funded so far through second iteration of Connected Everything have really had those skills tested, because obviously a lot of their plans were written way before, something called coronavirus came along. So they've really had to project manage their way through to helping their feasibility studies succeed. And it's been absolutely brilliant to see how these projects have continued despite the challenging circumstances. So I think, again, that's something that we need to be reassured about during this process, that people have thoroughly taken that on board, because we're not quite sure what's going to be happening. So, not only is it the innovation aspects, but also it's some of the practical elements as well that need to be thought about during the project.
Will Connected Everything provide support for the feasibility team during this process of?
Absolutely. Hopefully, compared to some of the feasibility study projects that we were looking at a year ago, at least there are a few more knowns in terms of how their local institutions are managing coronavirus. And obviously some labs have reopened, obviously some labs may have not opened, but at least everyone will have a greater understanding of what resources are available to them at their university. In terms of this feasibility study call, obviously we are saying that all the funded projects need to be finished by June 22. Part of the reason behind having June 2022 as the deadline is the fact that Connected Everything funding actually finishes at the end of the summer. Therefore, we need to have these feasibility studies completed in good time to make sure that we can really support some of the outcomes before the next phase or whatever happens to Connected Everything after September 2022. But in terms of support, we have regular catch-up meetings with the feasibility study teams. So whoever is successful in this current round of feasibilities will be linked in with other people on the who are carrying out feasibility studies. So there's almost like a bit of a network within a network of everyone who's managing a feasibility study. And absolutely, we really want to be a place where people can come to us if they have got a problem, if there is something happening. We really want to listen, and certainly that's part of the support that Susan's outlined, that it's certainly by no means we give the funding and then we walk away. We know we are with you every step, so we want to offer that support where possible.
That's just kind of wonderful to hear that. Kind of, I'm not sure how common that is with other kind of projects you get funded throughout other institutions and other networks, but to have that level of support, especially in these times, is I think really valuable. So kind of moving back onto kind of the panel pitch day itself, once they come to the end of the panel pitch and panel members have been asked, kind of given their chance to ask some questions, is there an opportunity for the pitching team to ask questions, and would you recommend that, Susan?
Oh yeah, you've got a team who are wanting presented, but they don't know all the answers at that point, and they've got a panel that can give answers. So the more questions, the merrier, within the time frame, of course. But yeah, the more questions, the merrier. Users, that's what we're there for. We've volunteered our time, not just to be passive. We're there to encourage. We're there to help. We get therefore give our expertise, alternate views. there's all sorts of things that we can help with. Just ask us.
Yeah, I guess it's a great opportunity to use you guys as a resource, get that expert opinion, and also to demonstrate you've thought about where you might be lacking experience or lacking knowledge.
But some of the presentations we've had have been absolutely fantastic, and some of them you've just breathed a sigh of relief once it's finished.
So I guess what would you say kind of makes kind of a pitch stand out then? I think we might have touched on this a little bit, but I guess it's good to end on like a good positive note.
Well, as I said earlier, at the end of a really good pitch, you get it's more of a feeling, and the feeling is as though you've just listened to a group of kids telling you about the best Christmas party ever. There's enthusiasm there, there's passion there, they're firing off ideas, they're opening up to ideas between themselves. They just want to engage you, and you're actually drawn in by all of that passion. And you sit there at the end of a really good presentation, and you're hooked. They've got you. There's no way that they're not going to go forward. A really good presentation where they've demonstrated all of that, their enthusiasm, their energy behind it. It's absolutely wonderful. It really is wonderful.
I agree with you, Susan, and I remember one of the presentations that we had that it was kind of a bit strange because the team was so enthusiastic, and absolutely you could see the different three members of the project team came to present, and they were kind of like bouncing ideas off each other. Even though you could tell it was a planned presentation, it was delivered almost in a conversational manner, and you could see them kind of like firing off each other, and it was great. And then when the 5 minutes was up, then there was almost like a moment of silence amongst the panel members, because they were just having to take a moment to actually take in what they'd just witnessed, and it was the most positive thing. But I think from the people who were presenting, they were kind of like thought, what why is there silence? But actually I think then all the smiles happened, and people realized that it was a really positive thing. But I think it was quite a moment to see the panel actually almost reduced to silence, because they were just having to take that moment to internalize what they just witnessed. So
definitely don't be scared to kind of make a performance out of it. It's not your normal PowerPoint presentation. You want to capture people's kind of minds and ideas. And
I mean, I really, really do enjoy being on a panel, but it's not just because of the day itself. It's you become part of something, part of somebody else's journey, and that is a lovely feeling. And you remember names, so it's the start of extending my network. It's part of extend, and they should take it as an opportunity to extend their network. The panel members are now a part of their network. But I think I really enjoyed being a panel member.
I think that brings a kind of really nice note to end on. So I'd like to thank you both today for providing me your time and giving both advice and tips for potential paddle pitches. For our listeners, you can kind of find out more information about our latest study call and how to apply by heading over to our website, connectedeverything.ac.uk, where details are available under the Feasibility Study tab. And as always, you can sign up for the weekly emails by clicking the big yellow box on our website to join the network. Thank you for listening, and best of luck for those currently preparing your pitches.